Hello, everybody. Abdul Fattah Muhammad with Self-Tone Media Consultants and the author of A Million Stars to Self-Empowerment. I want to talk to you about the military aspect of one's development. I also want to talk to you about analyzing your strengths, your opportunities, uh, your weaknesses, and the threats that you have. They are actually very correlated. They're really important. They are taught at the mastery levels of higher institutional systems, at university levels. Unfortunately, I do not feel that they should be delayed, but we can talk about that later. At this time, I want to specify that I've never been in the military, okay? I have, followed military history for a very long time. International conflicts, I have followed that. It is not in any way, shape, or form. This is just, upfront disclosure. It is no way, shape, or form about any kind of combat, physical combat, education that I'm trying to share with you. However, we will be talking about certain theories and philosophies that are taught in the military. One is intelligence. What and how much amount of intelligence do you have about yourself? Do you really understand your strengths? Do you really know what your weaknesses are? Do you really know what the opportunities that you're looking forward to on your day-to-day basis? Do you really know what they are? Do you understand what threats are and the difference between threats and weaknesses, because they are quite different? Militarily speaking, when we think about the military, we think about security. For example, securing our borders. When we think about the military, we think about defensive mechanisms that the military has. When we think about the military, we think about offensively speaking. And a very good example of how military tactics or military strategies correlate and are connected with business is when you find just about every legal team or business consultants or corporate consultants studying Sun Tzu, which is the art of war. And what is he talking about there? I think it's where he talks about the rules of of engagement, and knowing your opponent, knowing your enemy. And this is what I'm basically referring to. Sun Tzu, again, referring to Sun Tzu. If you know your strengths and you know your weaknesses, if you know your opponent's strengths and you know your opponent's weaknesses, then that's one way you will win a battle without it even being fought. So, have you really sat down and written out what your strengths are? Have you sat down and considered what type of opposition you're facing in getting that next job? Have you considered what kind of financial burden you're looking at in terms of your expenses, and what kind of defensive resources that you have to deal with that? This is basically what we're discussing. Do you know what your assets are, your internal assets? Do you know what the skills that you have and how much of a modification, how much of an embetterment they would need? Have you written these things out on a week to week or on a daily basis? Have you taken the time out and looked and made a list of things that you need to achieve for that week? This is what we're talking about in terms of militarily speaking. Be on the alert for external competition. Involve yourself in healthy competition to explore your opportunities. This is all in regard to strengths, weaknesses, threats, opportunities. The SWOT analysis that risk management talks about, really important, and how it correlates to the Sun Tzu theory of the art of war. And that's the reason why the book, actually talks about that. But all of that, where does all of that start? And what does all of that come down to? All of that comes down to, as stated in so many other self-development books, so many other books which motivate self-determination books. All these books are talking about, and it all comes down to your attitude, your development, your personality, your habits within yourself. Do you have what it, do you realize what it would mean to empower yourself? And that is what we're saying. You have a million stars, you have a million examples or scenarios that you have either, coming to you, or you have already crossed over in terms of what your life was about. Have you selected a number of those? Have you even selected one of those and held on to them so that they can actually guide you just like a guiding star? That's the question. And that's what the book is talking about. This is what I make reference to when I talk about, the different military scenarios and habits and strategies. But it has, again, nothing to do with, physical combat or nothing like that. I do not own a firearm. Do not ever look to owning a firearm, just to make sure that that is clear. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like this video. And I hope that you have yourself a prosperous day, that you find the stars within yourself to succeed. And if you do want to write a book, if you want to, have any type of consultation about, your personal development, your business development, at any time, send me a comment. I'll be glad to answer that. And again, thank you very much for your support, your time, and your effort in following my YouTube channel. You all have a blessed and beautiful and prosperous day or night.